He doesn't think they have an overeating problem.
No, he doesn't.
No, he doesn't. Why is that? What are they not doing, or what are they doing?
They're not paying attention.
And do you enjoy it? Yes. The lady that said she had a problem with chocolate, he says, do you really eat chocolate? Or, yeah.
So yeah, he thinks that they're not eating with awareness. So his question for them is, do you eat with awareness? Because if you're eating with awareness, you are paying attention, learning to listen to your body wisdom, which is your enteric nervous system, which is the gut brain right here. If you're learning to listen to this, you will be more likely to stop when you need to stop. And so you are probably having this overeating problem, which you are self-diagnosing as an overeating problem because you are multitasking while you're eating too fast, you're not paying attention to your enteric nervous system, and you're not eating with awareness. And this makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?
It does.
And the other thing he says is you're not satisfying your CPDR requirement, and that's the cephalic phase digestive response. So again, your brain must enjoy the experience. Your brain has to have the experience of the food, or it can go on with its day feeling and acting as though you've never even fed it, because that.
I found that really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Very fascinating, isn't it? And here's another term that I want to bring to your attention. Some people believe they have a willpower problem.
Mm-hmm.
He does not believe in that philosophy. He does not. He says it's not about willpower. It never has been, never will be. Again, he says you simply need to practice eating with awareness. Because if your brain is enjoying it and seeing it and getting involved in the process, it will, it'll get the satisfaction, and it'll be able to get so much satisfaction from that meal that it doesn't feel the need to keep eating and eating and eating. That's very interesting, isn't it? Mm-hmm. So we are going to stop thinking we have an overeating problem, and we're going to stop thinking we have a willpower problem, and we're just going to practice engaging our gut brain and practice engaging ourselves in each meal with awareness as best we can. I always say each meal isn't going to be this Lucky Charms experience where it's blue diamonds and green clovers, and sometimes we may have a distraction going on, or we might have, like me, I have hypoglycemia, and there are sometimes I need to eat at inopportune moments. Like I just can't wait another hour. Like when my blood sugar gets too low, I start getting very irritated.
Oh yeah, that happens to me too. Actually, I have diabetes, but the problem I notice is low blood sugar more. Like after I exercise, I always have protein bar in my purse because sometimes I'm like, I start feeling a little woozy, So if I have that protein bar.
And so you may find yourself in a situation where, you can still take your deep breaths and do what you can to eat with awareness. But sometimes I just notice my blood sugar drops, and it's not an opportune moment because I need, maybe it's like right before a chiropractic appointment and it's about ready to start. But I know that I'd rather eat something, and even if it's a little bit fast, I know that I'll be better off than if I wait an hour and wait. Then I'm all messed up. Yeah. So, just, be kind to yourself. Don't put a lot of pressure on yourself. Don't judge yourself if every time it's not this perfect scenario. It's a practice.
We are all flawed human beings. So.
That's right.
That's it. Nobody's perfect.
That's right. Do you see how eating with more awareness can help you with appetite regulation? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Then he has another idea here. Your thoughts may be fattening. And I don't know if you remember that little segment.
I tell people I think about hamburgers and I gain weight.
And he talks about that. Did you read that chapter? And maybe there's something more to that than we thought. But here's an interesting point, though, because I do keep wanting to open up it's okay to have pleasurable items when your body really wants them. Okay, I don't want you to try to fight them, because I think it does more harm in the long run than than, you know, what you're going to gain by totally being restrictive. So he talks about here, maybe you need to give yourself permission to eat what you want. You know, if you just got to have ice cream or waffles, be aware that you are eating it so that you're getting your CPDR requirement, and then move on to the next life experience. So if you find yourself really fighting something that you just really want, I really think it's okay to say, I'm going to have a little bit of that, and I'm going to eat it with awareness, and I'm going to enjoy it, and then I'll move on to the next life experience. You might want to give yourself a practice.
I think sometimes that it's important to realize you just don't want to eat a mound of it, you know? I mean, if you can just control your portions, just because you can eat it doesn't mean you should eat 100 pounds, you know what I mean? You eat a reasonable amount.
And I think if you're eating with awareness, you'll be okay.
Yes.
Right? It's when you're not eating with awareness that you're just eating really fast and shoveling it in that, you know, then, and you know what? He even says you can do that as long as you know you're making the choice. I am eating this, and I know I'm not eating with awareness, and I'm choosing to do this right now. And you know, you are becoming more aware of your body, what you're doing, what your psychology is, and there's something to be said for that too, you know. But by reading this book and going through these discussions, you may realize, I know I'm not eating with awareness right now, and I am choosing to do it, and it's my choice. You know, you see the difference between just, I don't even know what I'm doing, and, you know.
It's a form of awareness.
Yeah, it is. Right. But I think that if you can allow yourself to have these sweet foods, whatever your trigger is, and eat with awareness and enjoy it so that your brain is like, that was good. Thank you. You know, now I can move on to the next life experience. Something to think about. But we're all at different levels. So again, just practice with it. Try it. See what happens. Has anyone tried to allow themselves something, usually it's sugar, but it could be carbohydrates. Has anyone had an experience of where they've tried putting some of these practices where you were able to stop? Now you bought your little ice cream, that was your experiment.
Yep. And it really was perfectly fine to have that small of but I know myself, if I have a big container, I'm not going to serve myself something that size. I'll serve myself something 3 times that size.
You know what I recommend you do? Start with that size, eat with awareness, look at it, smell it, have a big smile on your face, right? Oh, this is so good. Taste it. I don't know, be out in your garden or something. And then when you're done with that, ask yourself, do I want more? You might surprise yourself. The answer could be, if it's yes, go get some more.
Yeah.
But put a little bit.
I was perfectly satisfied with that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, I really don't I don't think I really need the big portion. It's just that when I have a big container, I'm like, oh yeah, well, most of that is not, I don't really need it. I'm happy with a small amount.
Okay, but just know that's one of Mark David's solutions for people who will overeat and binge eat on these sugary things. Start with a small serving, eat with awareness, enjoy it, and then ask yourself at the end, do I still want more?
Yeah,
if the answer is yes, go ahead and get a little bit more. But go back in the awareness state, enjoy it, love it, big smile on your face, and when it's done, ask yourself again. You may surprise yourself because you may stop a lot earlier than you think you would. You may surprise yourself. It could be a very interesting experiment. So this week we're going to practice on listening to our enteric nervous system, which is the gut, you know, the brain in our gut. And so it says to access this brain in your belly, it will help you determine which foods to eat and in what amounts. Right? Stop listening to the experts, right? We always think someone knows better than we do, but you are your body's dietitian. You start learning to tap into that knowledge. Again, It talks about how food measurements, measuring our food, that has really become a source of disempowerment and an energy drain. So to empower ourselves, if we start listening to our own body wisdom and we eat with awareness, you shouldn't need someone else to tell you how much of something or what your best food choices are. Like I really know many foods will make me feel satisfied, and I know many foods that don't make me feel satisfied. So I tend to gravitate toward the meals that I know make me feel satisfied. And I'll be honest with you, I know vegetables are really good for me, but I'm in a phase right now where my body is not calling me to eat them, and I'm just riding out the wave. It's okay. I get in waves where I want broths and soups with lots of vegetables. Maybe because it's hot outside right now, I'm tending to gravitate more toward the full-fat yogurt that I like. And I'm just riding out the wave and being okay with it. But I'm not going to force myself to eat broccoli as I'm like, have a disgusted look on my face. It's not there for me right now. So it's okay. I'm giving you permission to do the same thing. Does that make sense? So if you have a piece of paper, I'm going to ask you a few questions, and I want you to just jot down the first few things that come to, you're trying to listen to your own body wisdom, your gut brain, and I want you to just jot down the first few items that come to mind. Question number 1, which foods make you feel best? And write them down.
See, awareness is something I don't have.
We're going to get there. And if you're not sure, just write what comes to mind, knowing that, I'm going to test this week. I'm not sure if I'm right or not, but this is what's coming up for me, so I'm going to write this down, and I'm going to play around with it this week. Again, the question is, which foods make you feel best? Maybe it's meat and proteins like eggs. Maybe it's nut butters. Maybe it's vegetables. Maybe it's a combination, like a stir fry, where you got to have your rice and your veggies and your protein all together. Maybe it's avocado. I don't know.
No, let's do avocados. Sat and died. And throw them away. I hate that.
You can freeze them.
Really?
I'd freeze them, and you can put them. You can freeze them. So I've done a couple things with that. I will freeze them, and then I will take them out, let them just thaw. Maybe I will freeze them in chunks. So I'll cut them in half, take the pit out, and just freeze the pulp.
Really?
And then I'll put them on. They kind of mush together, so I'll put them on like a baking sheet or a plate until they freeze, and then I'll put them in a plastic bag. And then if I just want a chunk of it, I will take out a chunk or two at a time, and then it will thaw in about 30, maybe 45 minutes, and then you can chop them up, put it on salad, eat it right away.
I've never tried that.
Doesn't get soggy or anything?
I don't think it's too bad. I mean, it's always a little bit mushy, right? I mean, avocado's kind of mushy to begin with, so I mean, you can try it. You can also throw it in. I put it in frozen. My daughter will make protein drinks, and she'll put avocado in there, and she just grabs it out of the freezer. Okay. So
interesting. Huh. Okay.
Question number 2: which foods pull you down, make you feel heavy? Anything come to mind? Which foods pull you down, make you feel moody or heavy or irritable? If you're not sure, don't get frustrated. You can let it go. You can even take more time to think about these questions. Later on, I'll email them to you. Number 3, are there foods that once worked fine, but now are hard to tolerate, where you have a different experience for them, something you used to eat, and now you notice, I'm not sure I like this anymore. My body doesn't like this anymore. It's hard for me to tolerate.
Think of anything.
Number 4, are there forbidden foods that you just can't live without? So forbidden foods are things that you've been taught that you think is really bad for you, but you feel like you just can't live without it because it's just so yummy and you're not willing to give it up. Go ahead and write those down. I know what mine are. Foods that you think shouldn't be consumed, but you just really enjoy them. And just take a couple deep breaths. If like nothing's coming up, no need to get frustrated. I'll email these questions and you can just think about them a little bit more and try experimenting with them this week. Because you're not sure, but remember, we're trying to tap into our gut brain here and listen to our body wisdom a little bit more. So you're going to do some experimenting this week. Okay, next question. What times during the day are best to eat for you? What times during the day are best? Do you feel good when you eat breakfast? Do you need to eat right away within a half an hour of waking up? Do you feel best if you wait about an hour? After you eat that first meal, when do you get hungry again after that? Is it 2 hours, 3 hours? Do you get hungry 2 hours later, but tell yourself you're not hungry and try to push through till noon?
That's what I do on Saturday mornings, because I eat something when I get up, and then, but like right now, I'm starving.
You need to bring a snack with you.
Mm-hmm.
I brought something, you know, I'm hypoglycemic. I brought this today because I'm in the same boat in case I need to take a swig or two just to help my blood sugar. And then what about midday? What about lunch? What time? Do you like an earlier lunch? Do you like noon? Do you like 1 o'clock? What about an evening meal? Have you ever tried to, like Kathy is doing this week, she's backing up her last meal of the day to 6 p.m. and she's experimenting with that. How do you feel? Do you feel better eating at 5, 7? 9 to me is entirely way too late to eat dinner, but something to be noticing. Next question, what combinations of food upset your stomach? Is there anything you've noticed? There's two left.
Uh-oh.
Any combinations of food that upset your stomach? And last one, any foods that you know your body wants more of right now at this season, at this age? This could shift. It is end of August, so it's kind of warm out. Different produce is in season. Maybe, I don't know how busy your lifestyle is, but maybe depending upon how busy you are, your body just is feeling like eating something more.
What is the question again? Any food?
What foods do you know your body wants more of?
Oh.
At this season, like right now. Because it could change in the winter, right? What is your body asking for more of right now? And that's the last question. So I gave you those questions because this chapter was big on really starting to listening to your gut wisdom. So be paying attention to these similar questions. What does my body want right now? Okay. What time should I eat? Forget about whatever you've heard and try to start just listening to your body, especially if you're hungry and trying not to eat because you don't think you're supposed to be eating. Even if you just eat a little something. I've noticed that when I start feeling hungry, I really think my blood sugar drops, and I got to have just a little something. Because if I don't listen to that, I'm in big trouble. And so you might find yourself in a similar situation. I don't want you fighting off your appetite. Besides, the other thing is that when you eat when your body needs food, at least for me, I found out that if I eat earlier in the day more, I eat less later in the day. And that's actually good for you to eat less later in the day. But I had to get used to listening to my body and giving it food when it wanted it, earlier in the day. But not everybody's like me. I'm not saying that. You could have a different pattern. But
sometimes I don't want to eat at all.
Yeah, me too. I never want to not eat.
But there are sometimes, just every once in a while, usually once during the week, it's just I don't want to eat. But yet I need to, because I take medications and stuff like that. But yeah.
Then I would just eat something very small, or, again, this is one of my go-to things.
Yeah, I think I'm going to start using yogurt and that.
And it's good for taking it with medication. Yogurt is. But I do think that.
Believe me,
and
that's
then
not all the time. It's just every once in a while.
And then you know what you should experiment with? What happens if you choose to eat versus what happens if you choose not to eat? Like if you choose to eat, does that serve you later on in the day? Or if you choose not to eat and you don't feel like eating and you don't eat, does that set you up to overeat later? Just pay attention. It does?
Yeah. And also, I feel better if I eat protein.
Right.
I'll feel better. But for some reason, I wonder if some of it is I just don't want to make a food choice. I just, it would be nice if you just didn't have to eat like you could. If you could give up, like when you don't smoke, you just give up smoking entirely. You can't give up food.
No, you can't. But I think you should listen to your body. If your body says that you like protein, personally mine does too. I've tried. If I eat too many vegetables, I get an upset stomach. I could never be vegan. So what's interesting is there's all this research out there that, some people say that the vegan is the best diet or like vegetarian stuff. But that's why we need to start listening to our own bodies, because I know for me that I would feel really yucky on it. But for other people, that can work fascinating. And if that's what your body wisdom is telling you, I support you, because there are some people who are vegetarians who are living past 100 and they feel great. But I've tried, when I eat too many vegetables, I don't feel good at all. So try again to stop, listen what you've been told, and you try to pay attention to what your body is trying to tell you. I think that will go a long way. Okay, so for homework for this next week, of course, continue the breathing. And I'm going to email this to you. Continue the breathing. Read the next chapter, which is chapter 4, The Metabolic Power of Rhythm. And this begins on page 82. Once again, we're going to continue to eat with awareness. Trust your choices. Try to tap into your brain and the belly to help determine which foods to eat and in what amounts. I will email this to you right away, so I have my son's birthday after this, so probably by the end of the day, by tonight, I'll email it so you have it. And then the other thing he's going to talk about that I want you to be, if you can read the chapter within the first 3 days, like by the end of the day, Tuesday, because if you save it till Friday, you're not going to get a chance to practice. If you can try to read this next chapter by Tuesday, then you can start incorporating step number 4, which is to eat regularly. No skipping meals. I want you to really tap into, I need to eat breakfast. My body's telling me this is a good time to eat breakfast. My body is telling me, yes, I need a snack, or no, it doesn't need a snack. Or if you don't eat a snack, if you eat breakfast at 7:30, maybe you're going to eat an early lunch at 11. I would say the majority of us typically do pretty good on a little snack. Maybe if you eat breakfast at 7:30, maybe you need a little snack at 9:30 or 10, and then eat at lunch. But I'm not going to tell you to do that, because I want you to tap into your own body wisdom. That's very, very common. I think a lot of bodies focus really good on having breakfast, then a little snack, then lunch, then a little snack, and then if you can, a lighter dinner, try to have your heavier meal, either breakfast or lunch, that kind of thing. And if your body is really hungry before you go to bed and it's telling you need just a little something, I recommend that you listen to it. This is, again, one of my go-tos. I'm like, wow, I need a little something to eat before going to bed. So I'll take a couple swigs of this. And then it just helps, you know, it's not a big meal before going to bed. But again, I have the blood sugar issues. So, you know, your situation may be different, but I'm encouraging you to find out more about that. And then I'm going to urge you to not calorie count. I don't know if you've been measuring things and counting calories, but I want you again, so after next week, I want you again, trust that your body knows what to do. And your body knows, if you eat with awareness, what amount you should be eating. So I prefer you not to calorie count and no measuring things, that kind of thing. So find your natural appetite and enjoy it. That's what we're gonna be working on. And some of you may have already been practicing this a lot, but
I need to do this.
okay, any questions? I'm so excited. I'm so excited. But see again, if you can try to finish the chapter by like Tuesday, because there's really good stuff in there that will help you eat regularly. He also talks about balancing your macronutrients, which is like probably eating protein with every meal and making sure.
I try to do that because it makes me feel like gives me endurance. I mean, otherwise I feel run down.
Yeah, I feel better with, like I said, like a balance, like a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Yeah, so he's going to talk about that. So that will help you.
Don't do it.
It'll help you with your body awareness if you're maybe taking a look at your macronutrient balance. Like he's going to talk about here for breakfast, don't eat something that's heavy carb loaded, meaning a muffin, you know, or 3 pieces of toast. Okay, that is completely carb loaded. There's no protein in there. There's no fat in there, unless you're putting like butter on it. But, you know, be careful, especially for breakfast. I don't know why our culture likes to have like pancakes. Okay, pancakes is like, it's all carbs. And so that can get you off on the wrong track. So maybe balance it out with a couple of eggs, and then maybe you can have a couple small pancakes, but have a couple of eggs with it. Then you've got your protein and your fat. So he's going to talk about balancing your meals and snacks out with a better balance of macronutrients. That's your proteins, fats, and carbs, and that might help out too. So I can't wait to hear about how your body wisdom went next week.
I was telling Kathy last week that the week before that, I finally got up Saturday morning and read my chapter. I was like in a panic. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't read it.